Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Please be joined by Canton boys basketball head coach Jimmy Reddy. How's it going?
Hey, Casey, thanks for having me, man. Everything's going well. Just grinding through the beginning of the season here.
All right. So I know I know you've now your team is set. Of course, tryouts were 1 week earlier compared to last year when this was the week that tryouts were. Of course, the girls teams are figuring out their teams this year. So going into this season, knowing that your team is set, what's that been like in these practices? I don't know if you guys had a scrimmage yet, but what's it gonna be like heading into for this upcoming season for you guys?
Yeah, I think we just had practice number 5 last night.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a scrimmage last Saturday, so we've played a few games in the scrimmage last Saturday, but we did play without Caleb Williams, who was taking a visit to Army for football, so we didn't get to see what our whole team would look like. But I did like our fight and our effort in those scrimmages. We've only got 10 guys on our roster. We got 5 seniors, we got 5 juniors. And if we need be, we can take. I like our JV team this year in terms of their depth and their skills. So if we need be, we can take one from there. But we got 10 guys, juniors and seniors. We usually have a younger classman on our team. This is a rare year for us with a veteran, older team, and we got 8 of those guys that are returning. So I like our experience. I really, really like our seniors, and I think we'll be competitive because of that.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those guys that'll be back. And so just mention some of the names to watch out for Canton this year.
Yeah, so our seniors, I'm going to mention all our seniors because they've all are going to have a significant role this year. But in terms of the most veteran guys, Caleb Williams, a 4-year varsity guy, and he'll be playing Division I football somewhere when he figures it out. And he's actually he's bulked up, man. He's got a lot more muscle on him, and so I think he'll be able to play in different spots on the floor this year for us as well. And then Devon Pettis, who's going to Grand Valley State for football, is a tough cover in the post for a small. I mean, he's only 6'1", but he's a solid 235, and he's a tough cover in the post, and he can step out, shoot a little bit. 3-year varsity guy for us, so another experienced guy. And then I think one of the better just pure basketball guys in our conference this year is Bradley Azuka, who just committed to Kalamazoo College. Really good 2-way player. I think the best perimeter defender in our league last year. Not to hate on anybody else, but I think Bradley was pretty elite in how he guarded the best players on the perimeter in our league last year. And then our other 2 seniors who played sparingly last year, Alexander Persinger got into the rotation later in the year, and he's a lefty that can shoot it. And then Joey Pearson has worked his way in. In our scrimmages Saturday, we were better in the games when he was on the court. So Joey's going to really help us this year as well. And then one junior I'd like to mention is Teddy Winston, because he was instrumental in our success last year and winning the division in the conference as a sophomore. He started every game except for maybe 1 or 2 last year for us. So Teddy brings some more experience to our group and has improved his scoring this year as well.
Okay, so going into let's talk about the division, of course. This year is always I know obviously you've taken of course you took the division last year and the conference overall. What's it going to be like? What is your outlook? Obviously, you've gotten a chance to maybe look at some of the teams out there, but the division wise, it's going to be another interesting year again.
It will be. I think I actually think both sides, the East and West, are both really competitive, and or maybe even wide open. So it'll be a grind, and it'll be the importance of being ready every night. And this year's unique where we play a division game before Christmas. Yeah. We got to go to Northville before Christmas, and we play one over Christmas break. We're playing Plymouth over Christmas break. So it's important to get off to a good start and put yourself in a good position. But it's going to be it's going to be a grind. I mean, there's, Howell's bringing a ton back.
Yeah,
Guys that played major minutes last year, and Brighton, was really good last year, and I expect him to be good again. And you know, yeah, I think, teams, I think the Park has pretty good basketball this year. I don't know what other coaches think, but I think Salem Plymouth will be tough. Will be tough to beat.
yeah,
And then Novi, I don't, I saw them play in our fall league, and I think those guys have a chance to be pretty good as well. And then Heartland, I think, will be better. Um, and it's going to be a tough league. I know Northville, Northville has been really, really good the last 2 years, and it hurts that they lost guys that should still be there as seniors with the Carlos and Justin, but I know Todd and those guys will get them competing. But that could have been a really good basketball team if those guys were back for sure.
absolutely. Um, okay, so non-conference wise, I know you always go out and get some of, and every coach does this too. Go out and get some of the best teams to get you ready for March. And who have you got on your non-conference schedule, Jimmy?
Yeah, man. God, it's been a whirlwind to start here, and we got a lot going. Like, we're hosting a JV scrimmage right now with a bunch of teams here. But I here's what I know. I know that we open up next Friday on the 1st against Country Day, which will be fun because former player of mine, Jordan Nobles, is the varsity assistant there. His brother's the head coach at Country Day now, so that'll be cool because Jordan graduated from 2014 with us. I love Jordan, great kid. And we'll get to see where we're at. And I mean, those guys were super young last year, so they're bringing back a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like. And then that second week of the season on Tuesday, so that would be what, the 5th.
Yeah.
We're hosting Saline, and Saline should be one of the better teams in our area, man. They got a loaded roster with the Sanderson kid. I mean, he's got a bunch of D1 offers already
Yep.
as a young guy. So that should be a good one. And then that Friday, we're hosting Hamtramck. We played those guys the last 2 years, and we've had two good games with them. We haven't been able to beat them, and we'll see where we're at. So that first week from the 1st to the 8th will give us a good barometer to see where we're at and see what we need to work on. And then we're doing a couple of showcases. I know we're at Northville Showcase on that Saturday. We're playing Lansing Waverly, which is the 16th. And then we're playing 2 weeks after that on the 30th. We're playing North Farmington's Showcase, and we're playing Detroit Loyola. Those two teams should be really good. So again, a tough test in those two games too.
And of course, don't forget the KLA OAA challenge with of course Groves is going to be coming to Canton, so it's going to be.
So that's the 14th, and from what I've heard, I haven't even looked into it, but I've heard they got a lot coming back this year too. So, yeah, we're loaded up again, man. And it's just what we like to do. We like to see where we stack up against those guys, and more importantly, we like to get ready for what we just talked about, the KLA West, which is a grind, and we like to be, be ready to, when we start playing those games.
Yep. Okay. So let me get I've been asking a lot of coaches about this. Obviously the one-on-one rule was gone for fouls and stuff.
Yeah.
Got some talks, got some interesting takes on from a lot of coaches on the boys and girls side, but what's your take on that?
Well, I know that it's going to make it more difficult for the team that is losing at the end of the game to come back. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, the one-on-one kept you alive longer. I mean, look at us in the district final last year. Omar, and not to hate on Omar at all. I love Omar as my guy, but he missed 2 front ends of one-on-ones in the district final in overtime. Him being and he's an 80% free throw shooter. Him being at the line, having 2 instead of 1-on-1, just mentally is a big difference. So I think it's less pressure on the team that's winning. So it changes that for sure. I do think, though, here's the deal. Our game should be as similar to the college game, and I know the college game wants to be as similar as the pro game. Men's college hoops is the only game that's doing halves still, and it doesn't make sense. Uh, you know, they should be at quarters. They should be doing what the girls' college hoops are doing. 4 10-minute quarters. And that's essentially what we're doing, right? We're doing 5 team fouls every quarter. It resets. When you get to 5, you're shooting 2. So, in essence, it's probably a good change. And now men's college hoops should be changing, I think. I think we should be as similar as possible. And in order for that to happen, not to get on another topic, but we should have a shot clock in high school basketball. It is so past time for a shot clock. It's absurd. So just to throw that out there.
Yeah. Okay. I was waiting for that from somebody. No one's mentioned it yet, but we had our first shot clock of the year, so there we go.
Well, we've been on the other side. It's been tough for us because
Yeah.
We've been playing teams where they're and it's a good game plan for them, but they're holding it. There's 10 to 12 to 14 possessions in a game where they've had the ball over 45 seconds to a minute, and if we don't get off to a good start when we've had those good teams, it's hard to beat those guys when they're holding it, and it's hats off to them, but it's time for a shot clock. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. So going into these next few weeks, what is that going to be like as we head to that first game in a few weeks?
Yeah, no, it's we've got a lot to install still, but we again, I think we have a pretty veteran group. That's a smart group. That's a competitive group. So I think they'll be ready to play when we get going. We are scrimmaging again on Friday after Thanksgiving at Flat Rock, and we weren't going to do another scrimmage, but since Caleb wasn't there last weekend, we decided to do one just to see what our whole team would be like with Caleb there. So we'll see what we're like at that scrimmage, and then we'll kind of go from there. And there's not as many preseason practices anymore like there used to be because they shortened our season a week. Last year we started with that, so you got to kind of get a lot installed in a short period of time. But again, with a veteran group, that should be easier to do.
All right. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much for the time as always. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on.